Hello and welcome to the woods of Staffordshire. Beautiful sunny day here today at Staffordshire Black headquarters, and we are in the shade because it's far too hot in the full sunlight to do what we're going to do, which is to ebonise this lovely piece of ash. I was asked on Facebook yesterday if Staffordshire Black could turn ash a full deep black, and I was sent a photograph as an example. I did say then that I couldn't make any guarantees because there are so many variables, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway and we'd all find out together. So the first things first is I have sanded this piece down to 240 grit. I've then raised the grain with a little bit of water and then sanded that back again to 240 grit, and then I've blown all the dust out of the grain. It's fairly open grain on ash. Blown all that out with the air compressor. So the first thing we need to do now is to get some tannin on the wood, because ash contains very little natural tannin of its own, and we need that in order to get the ebonising juice to work. So because it's warm, I'm going to give it a good coat of tannin juice. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm probably going to give it a second coat to make up for the fact that the heat is going to be evaporating the tannin juice before enough of it has had time to soak into the grain. So we'll give it the first application first. These jars you may recognise from our Ebonising Kit, as well as the brushes. Now the idea is to make it nice and shiny and wet, get plenty on there, and give, as I've said in other videos, give the wood as much opportunity as possible to absorb as much of this as possible. Because if you don't have the tannin in the wood, the ebonising juice itself has nothing with which to work. There you go, good soaking tannin juice. I'm going to let that sit now. It's going to dry naturally in the open air, no direct sunlight, because as I say, that'll evaporate things far too quickly. We're just going to give that time to soak in, and I'll probably give it a second coat shortly. Okay, that's dried now, so time for the second coat. You don't always have to do this on your projects, but for the sake of repeating myself, sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get your wood to ebonise, depending on the circumstances and depending on the species of wood. So because there's not much tannin in this and the heat is going to be evaporating what I add reasonably quickly, we're just giving it 2 coats today, I think, before we add the ebonising juice. Now it's time to start ebonising. We've maximised our chances of getting everything to work properly. We've sanded it, we've raised the grain, we've sanded it again, we've applied 2 coats of tannin juice. Now this is where we see if that's paid off. We need the ebonising juice. Again, a little jar. And give it just as generous an application as you did for the tannin juice. And that means to get it glistening wet, get it soaking in, we should see the ebonising process starting pretty much straight away. But we're going to let it dry for now and we'll see how it turns out. It's all coming along quite nicely. Things are dry, more or less. We're going to add some more tannin juice. and then follow that again with more ebonising juice. Now that you've already got ebonising juice on here, you'll find that the tannin we're adding now will start to react with that. Hopefully you can see the difference this is making so far if you compare it to the untouched edge here, which was the original colour of the ash. But still, there's work to do, the last coat we did was a tannin juice. Now we're back onto ebonising juice again. Almost dry. There's a little bit of pooling at the bottom here because it's at a funny angle, but another coat of tannin juice. It's looking good. Ebonising juice again. I think maybe another 1 or 2 rounds of this. But don't forget we're going for a proper black, a good solid black if we can, so it does take a little bit of work. Okay, I'll come back when it's dry. Back to tannin juice. This is either the last one or the penultimate one, so we'll be done shortly. Still a little bit damp in the grain, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so this is looking done, I think, but we need to do one final round of ebonising juice. I'll let it dry, and I think today, rather than the oil that I would normally recommend, I'm going to apply some sand and sealer, because that is a question I've had on Facebook today about that. So as long as it's something that penetrates the grain, then that'll do the job. There we go, I think that should do it. I'll be back shortly. This is nice and dry now, it's absolutely beautiful. That's what you're looking for when you're ebonising your wood. It's not finished yet, that's the important thing, it's not finished yet. So you're going to think it's a little bit chalky, maybe a little bit flat, but that's fine, it's supposed to be like that at this stage. Just a quick reminder of the colour it started as. So that's ash, and that's what it is now we've ebonised it. The final thing to do, as it says on our website, is to oil it. But based on another question I had today, have I explained this already? I can't remember. There are other things you can do. The important thing is to use something that penetrates into the surface fibres of the wood to make the ebonising pop. Now, if you don't want to oil, one of the alternatives is to use sand and sealer, which I have here. I've got some shellac sand and sealer, thinned it down 1-to-1 with some methylated spirits, which is also denatured alcohol if you're overseas. So we're going to get a little bit of that on now, and this is where you'll see the ebonising actually come to life. I'll just quickly to show you the difference. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but you can see it's actually given the ebonising on the bottom half a lot of life compared to the top half. I'll keep doing that, we're going to let it soak in. Oh, by the way, I've shifted now out of the woods because the clouds have come over and it's not so bright in there anymore. And we'll let that dry, let it soak in. It's thinned, so it'll penetrate a little bit better. We're going to let it dry, and I might end up having to come back to this tomorrow just to give it a little bit of time. If not, then we'll have a look again today. I might give it another coat, but anyway, when this is dry, you can do what you want on top of that. The important thing to bring out the ebonising is this stage now, so you can do what you want after that. The lady who was in touch with me earlier on Facebook plans to do exactly this, and then finish with a polyurethane varnish. I think I've got some of that around somewhere. I might end up doing that. You're not supposed to stick your fingers on there once you put sand sealer on, are you? But of course you can add wax after this, or whatever your finish of choice is. But as I say, the important thing is this stage, to get something to penetrate into the grain and bring out the ebonising. Right, we'll let this dry. Well, that's it dry now, and I hope you agree. I think that looks great. Absolutely great. Difficult with the shine to get the proper representation of the black, but there you go. The cat in the background is called Sausage, by the way, and he loves being around us. So anyway, there you go, that's that done. That's still with the shellac and the meths. Obviously you'd want to finish it with varnish or whatever after that, but if I do that, it'll be tomorrow, and I'll add a picture to the end of this video. So there you have it. That's how to ebonise properly with Staffordshire Black. And if you do it properly, if you take your time, don't rush it, then you'll get great results. And that's ash. Staffordshire Black. These are 500ml bottles. Don't forget, we also do 5-litre bottles now for trade users, and if you've got any big projects on. The little jars I was using earlier, they're Ebonising kits, and everything is available from staffordshireblack.co.uk. You can also find us on Facebook at Staffordshire Black and Instagram at Staffordshire Black. And if you want to email us, we're hello@staffordshireblack.co.uk. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please get in touch. Bye now.